Come on. Do me a favor this morning. For some reason, the remote isn't working. I don't have a battery.
Okay.
Can you sit here and just over here and just advance the slide?
Yes, sir. I get my water.
What about you bring your breakfast or whatever? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the sunrise. Glad you're here. I have an assistant over here, Uman, since our slide advancer is not working this morning, so we're going to use a manual slide advancer. It's called Uman. So if you'll advance the slide. We're going to start off the meeting with the prayer and pledge, and Greg Ruff is going to lead us. So please stand. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. We're going to start out as we typically do, feeding the pig to support our Rotary Foundation. We're doing something a little bit different. Now, we are recording the entire meeting, and therefore I have a mobile mic. So as I walk around, you will actually be recorded on what your happy dollar or prayerful dollar or whatever dollar you want to lay out there would be. So we're going to try to do this, and I'm going to try to manipulate the camera as we move around. So please, let's feed the pig. So let's move this camera, and we'll start on this side of the room.
Happy rainy Thursday and continued school development.
Very good, very good. Hey, Lori, can you hear us? Just to raise your hand, just to make sure. We're very good, very good.
Football season is back. Started with game day, and all of us who root for Alabama teams, here we go.
Awesome.
All right, I have $2. One is for happy birthday, Bob. Tomorrow's my birthday, and I will make the big 8-0. And I never dreamed I'd make it. The other one is I put an article on the paper, on the tables here that was in the paper Wednesday. And it's about the friendship between Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If everybody in government worked like that, we're friends, and we're so politically diverse, our country would be in much better shape than it is today.
Steve, are we in government, and do we get along? Yeah, he's not being heard.
Happy dollar for our own Dr. Garrett Chow, who got married on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
On his honeymoon right now.
Awesome. Smiles galore.
Yeah.
Happy dollar, got a new puppy.
Awesome, awesome.
20, one for, or at least 10 of it for Greg Ruff as he's helping my parents out, and for every Rotarian that's brought a meal to my parents. I thank you very much, and they sure do appreciate it.
Okay, great. Did I miss anybody? Again, thank you all. like to introduce, we have a guest today. Alan, do you want to introduce your guest? I took the microphone away. I'm sorry. So you want to come up here and talk so we can get it on the...
So our guest this morning is Alex Valencia, and I met Alex through Facebook and Iron Tribe, and then I saw there was a Rotaract Club in connection, and then he has all these posts that he does on all this. He goes exercising, and then he posts where he stopped off at the Mountain Brook Creamery. But Alex.
Thank you, Alan. I'm not sure what else to say. So, my name's Alex. I am operations manager for the Valencia Group. I'm soon going to be doing contract work for RX Benefits as a data integration analyst for their new enrollment period.
Appreciate you bearing with us. A few things this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about an update on our district grants. We're going to talk about a service project, and then we have a couple of guests to speak about the Rotary Peacebuilders. We'll introduce Will and Jim in just a minute. So if you'll advance the slide. As we typically do, I want to call somebody out. This is a little bit late to the game, but particularly given the fact that Mark Ingram spoke to us at our last meeting. But this is the scores table at a UAB basketball game back in the 1980s. There is a face that's circled. You may have to look at the small screens up here to look very close. But I'd like to ask if anybody in this room, nobody virtually, because I think one virtual really knows who it is, but who kept the books at UAB basketball games for many years. And in this 1985, this is a member of ours, in 1985 or 1980s was involved in this particular picture. Anybody have an idea? Nothing. Nobody can tell who this young man is right here. His name is Alan Stevens. How about that? Our own Alan Stevens, the longtime UAB supporter and basketball supporter who worked, how many years, Alan? 33 years keeping the books for UAB basketball. And so, I mean, I struggled. Alan and I shared this photo, and he said, just pick me out of the crowd. And I picked the guy sitting next to him. So I didn't realize it would have, what exactly, I was very, very close. So anyway, again, little tidbits about our members, our fellow members, so we can get closer to them and understand what they bring to the table here. So Alan, thank you for sharing that. Greg, thank you and your team for helping out with the meetings. Next month, John Henley takes over and his team. Look forward to that. Birthdays. Bob couldn't wait for my slide. He had to announce his birthday in advance of the slide, but we have quite a few birthdays this month. Mike, Don, Adam, Bob, Jacob, and Lori. Lori, we'll miss your birthday, but again, I know you're on virtually, so happy birthday to you. Do you want to say anything, Lori? You want to unmute yourself and speak to the entire room?
Good morning, everybody. I have a board meeting at Children's this morning, so I was up at dark 30 coming to work. Thank you for the birthday wish, and have a happy day. I don't have any other announcements or anything to say.
Thank you, Lord. I appreciate it. I think it's important to keep up to speed on what's coming up. We have our next meeting. A Nova Coffee representative, Tyler Nash, will be with us. Mike Slive's daughter, Anna Slive Harwood, will be in to talk about the Mike Slive Foundation. We'll have a board meeting via Zoom on October 15th, and then David Bullard, the CEO of Piggly Wiggly, will be speaking to us on October the 22nd. Before we go to talk about our service project that's in our district grant, let's go back in time to the fact that we had a very good attendance at the e-recycle hazardous materials day, and I had a thank you note that I received from the Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to read it to you. I think it's really poignant. It says, Jeff, from all of us at the Chamber, I would like to thank you and everyone at the Vestavia Hills Sunrise Rotary Club for volunteering at the 2020 Shred and Recycle Day. We truly could not have done it without your group. We had Sunrise volunteers spread at every station, from directing traffic at hazardous waste to e-recycling to the front of the shred. Wow. As the staff with 3 full-time employees, our volunteers are critical to not only the success, but the basic flow of an event. Vestavia Hills Sunrise Rotary was the backbone of this event, and boy, was it successful. The final totals rounded at 11,090 pounds of paper shredded, 14,000 or nearly 15,000 pounds of e-recycle, 12.6 tons of hazardous waste. We are so very grateful for everyone who was able to help, and you all did an extraordinary job. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. Also, a nice thank you note from the police department for the gift from the first responders picnic was very, very nice. Let's talk about, we have several district grants that have received preliminary approval. One of those has gotten some momentum over the last few weeks, and it's our project that's titled the Academy of Craft Training Project. The grant itself is a combined funds of $1,895 that's utilized for the purchase of personal protective equipment that otherwise participants in the Academy of Craft Training would have some struggle getting, work boots, things of that nature. And that's all very, very good and well done as far as a purpose of a grant. However, another component that we're going to be working on this year, and Alan and I have talked with Dr. Cooper, who is over the entire career pathway program at Vestavia Hills City Schools, and we want to do more than just give money. We want our members and even members outside of our club that have ties to Rotary, if we can get them engaged, to help with creating mentorships with Vestavia Hills schools. What does a mentorship mean? It could be serving as a guest speaker. It could be internships at your place of employment. It could be allowing someone, a Vestavia Hills high school student, to job shadow you. Any of these mentorship strategies are valuable and desired by Vestavia Hills City Schools. They have identified several pathways, and where many people will think all this is about a new way of doing vocational education, it's not. It is much broader than that. It's more than just the construction field. The pathways they've identified include business management, IT, finance, marketing, human services, health science, engineering, architecture, as well as the Academy of Craft Training. My takeaway to you is, where does your skill set as a Vestavia Hills Sunrise Rotarian fit within these pathways? And are you willing to spend just a little bit of time with some type of mentorship with these Vestavia Hills high school students from 9th grade to 12th grade? And so we will be sending out a volunteer sheet to our entire membership with areas that if you feel you can help mentor in some ill-defined way at this point in time, and you identify your skill set is within one of those pathways, then we're going to start engaging with you and share and hopefully scheduling time in ways that you can mentor these individuals in our school system here in Vestavia Hills to make that successful connection to the work world. So anybody have any question? I just want to introduce this concept here. The follow-up will be again, a sign-up sheet as we move forward. But I think thinking about our members, I think everybody falls in one of these categories. And one of the things that Dr. Cooper, who spoke to our group before, has been very interested in is entrepreneurship as well. And he is working very hard to create their own version of the Shark Tank so that they can encourage entrepreneurialism amongst young high school students as they make their transition to the work world, to college and otherwise. So please, when the email comes out to you guys and there's a sign-up sheet, please consider engaging, because this service project, just like we were successful in helping the chamber, is also something that we can make a difference in our community as Rotarians and send a good message. So any questions or thoughts on that? Okay, well, thank you. We'll advance the slide and we'll make our way to our speakers today. And we have two representatives, fellow Rotarians, who are all about the Rotary Peacebuilders effort. And they're gonna speak further about that. We have Will Ratliff and Jim Shepard with us. I have not coordinated who's gonna speak, if they're both gonna speak or not, but we're gonna adjust the screen. Uman, if you can stop sharing. Well, if you can go to the box right there and put the speaker view on, and we will go ahead and back to the multi. We'll just try it this way. At this point in time, I would turn the program over to Will and to Jim, and whichever one of you guys wants to start off, please unmute yourself. You're being broadcast, your audio over the entire room, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Can y'all see me and hear me? This is Will Ratliff. I can't see myself.
See and hear you loud and clear.
All right, I can't see myself, so I'm hoping that I'm visible there. My name is Will Ratliff. I'm a member of the Downtown Rotary Club. I have been since 1989, and my father was a member, so I'm a legacy member there. And in fact, my father is who got me involved in Rotary International's peace efforts. Those of you who are familiar with Rotary International, in fact, if I were there in person, I'd ask for a show of hands of how many people have been to a Rotary International convention, because if you haven't been, I strongly encourage you to try to do that at some time in your Rotary career, because Rotary is an amazing organization. I can tell just from the brief time I've spent with you this morning that you're already aware of what a wonderful organization Rotary is and can be in Vestavia and in your own community. But Rotary, with over 1 million members and 33,000 clubs around the world, is also a remarkable organization in terms of its impact on the broader world. Many people know about our polio eradication efforts, but there's 6 areas of focus in Rotary, and one of those areas of focus is peace and conflict resolution. And so my wife and I began to go to Rotary International peace conferences a few years ago. See, I can't see myself. Jim's telling me I'm outside of the screen and I can't see myself, so I can't.
Will, you're in the screen. You're broadcasting just fine, video and audio.
Okay, thank you. All right, so in any event, I am, my wife and I went to a number of Rotary International Peace Conferences. The first one was in Bangkok, Thailand, as part of the Rotary International Convention there, and then we've been to other ones in Toronto and Honolulu and Hamburg, Germany. And we really were quite taken with the work that Rotary is doing around the world to promote peace. And in some cases, that has gone hand in hand with the Rotary efforts regarding efforts like polio. For instance, Ravi Ravindran, who is a past Rotary International president, when he was president of the largest club in Sri Lanka, was able to negotiate a ceasefire in the Sri Lankan civil war so that both sides would cease fire while volunteers went in to inoculate and give the vaccine to children on both sides of the Civil War to prevent the spread of polio while that was taking place. And that's not the only time where Rotary's support of polio and its efforts to promote peace and reconciliation within communities have gone hand in hand. But then in 2016, my wife and I went to a Rotary International Peace Conference, except that it was not sponsored by Rotary International in itself. It was sponsored by 6 districts in Southern California. And it was actually the most impressive peace conference we had been to up to that time. And we were so impressed with that we came back and started talking to some of the Rotarians in the downtown club about having a peace conference here in Birmingham. And in fact, we started having those conversations about 2.5 years ago. Those conversations advanced, and we intended to have an international peace conference in Birmingham in 2021, in May of 2021. And we were going to partner in that peace conference with the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, which has an reenactment of the Children's March that took place in Birmingham in 1963, where at that reenactment, they encourage young people from all over the city to come and learn about Birmingham civil rights history. So we teamed up with not only the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, but the Institute for Human Rights at UAB to co-sponsor this International Peace Conference. And it was our intention all along for this to be much broader than just the downtown club. We brought in early on the Rotary District 6860. Carol Argo was the district governor at that time. Since then, Bill Petty and Lee Weinman, I assume your club has had visits, certainly from Bill and maybe from Lee as well already, with kicking off his year as district governor. And we've received a lot of support from the district leadership. And then the pandemic hit, so we moved our scheduled date for our peace conference from 2021 to May of 2023. So you will be hearing a great deal more about the International Peace Conference that Rotary 6860 is leading the charge on to have that happen in Birmingham in May of 2023. After the pandemic hit, since we had been planning all along to have a youth component along with the adult International Peace Conference that would culminate in the reenactment that the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute holds, we've refocused our efforts because we expected all along that the youth program would be primarily local. And of course, like everything else, we had to sort of reconfigure the youth program based on the pandemic. But we had already begun to have conversations with an organization called New Gen Peacebuilders out of Charlotte, North Carolina. They have done programs not only in Charlotte, but in a number of cities around the United States. They were invited into Charlottesville, Virginia after the march and the tragic events that took place there. They also have done peace builder programs for youth in Argentina and other places in Africa and South America. So they have gotten great reviews as partners with Rotarians, teaching young people skills and theories related to peace building. The peace building work that they do starts with a 2.5-day conference, and then the young people at the end of that 2.5 days form teams, and each of those teams come up with a community peace project for their own team. Some of those projects might be international in terms of doing things to promote peace at an international level, but most of them end up being peace projects within their own communities. So it turns out that they had a project, or they had a program underway in one of the cities where they were working when the pandemic hit, and they were able to pivot and complete that program in a very impressive way virtually, doing much of it over Zoom. And with that, we felt that that there was no reason to postpone starting the youth program because of the pandemic. And in fact, what we've now hope will be the case is that the youth program will become much more widespread and robust as a result of having not just one program leading up to May of 2021, but maybe as many as 5 iterations of that program between now and May of 2023. And just this Monday, which was September 21, International Day of Peace, we announced that we had 8 schools and 4 youth organizations in Birmingham committed to having 160 young people around metropolitan Birmingham participate in the Rotary Peacebuilders program. I want to thank Jeff for having us here this morning, and I'll introduce Jim Shepard, who's a member of the Shays Valley Club, in just a minute, because he's become a really important member of the team. But Jeff, we reached out to Jeff to enlist Vestavia High School as one of the schools. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that went in a moment. But we're very excited that this program is definitely going to take place starting in January of this year. Each of the schools has committed to have a social studies teacher incorporate concepts of peace in their U.S. history class or civics class. Each school also has a club. Some schools have an interact club that will be the basis of their Peace Builders program. But each of the school commits to have 10 students, and the youth organizations, which are the Civil Rights Institute, Boys and Girls Clubs, and 2 organizations that you may or may not be familiar with called ACE and Youth Serve, which bring together diverse groups of young people. All 4 of them will have groups of 20 young people. And ultimately, we hope and expect to have 15 high schools participate with a total of approximately 210 young people. So this program, as I mentioned before, will kick off with 2.5 days of a, I guess since it'll happen virtually, it's hard to call it a conference maybe, but it'll be 2.5 full days of intensive work together as a group of 200 or so young people. And then they'll break back into their groups of 10 that are at the schools or at the youth programs. And each of those teams will come up with their own peace project, and with a Rotary mentor and their school personnel helping them design, first of all, discuss the concept of peace that they've learned in the program, and then how to come up with a program, a project in their own communities that they feel like will promote peace in their community. And young people have come up with all kinds of remarkable programs or projects in their home communities. So we are very excited about how this is unfolding. We didn't know until last week that for sure in the time of pandemic that we would have enough support from schools that are struggling just to get their normal programming and educational efforts underway, but we've met with a lot of enthusiasm from many schools. One of the schools that was very enthusiastic is Vestavia High School, but they have said that they just feel like it's a bridge too far for them to do it this spring, but that they very, very much want to do it next year. And that suits us fine because we have high hopes that, as I mentioned, that this will be just a pilot for how this program can work and build going forward. And our hope is that we will be able to not only do future versions of this program in metropolitan Birmingham and include more schools, but that we'll spread it not only around Rotary 6860, including other metropolitan areas in our district, but and perhaps even expand it to other districts between now and the time of the International Peace Conference. If we can have 5 more iterations, we may have as many as 1,000 young people that have been through this program in time for them to be involved in and participate in some way the International Peace Conference that'll take place in 2023. So all of this we are offering to the schools and the youth organizations at no cost to them or to the students. And that means that the Rotary District 6860 needs to step up and raise the money to make this happen. And Jim Shepard graciously has volunteered to help make that fundraising process effective and possible. So I want to turn it over to Jim to talk about exactly how that fundraising is going to take place. And we are focusing that fundraising to start with on the 12 Rotary clubs around metropolitan Birmingham, because that's where the students are going to be drawn from. So Jim Shepard, as I mentioned, is a past president of the Shays Valley Rotary Club, a very active Rotarian, and getting ready to be a lot more active. He's already become much more active as a result of this role that he's playing, which has been extremely helpful in getting the Peacebuilders program off the ground. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jim. And Jim, if you'll make a few comments about how the fundraising is going to unfold, and then we'll be happy to take questions from the club about not only the youth program, but also about the international conference. So take it away, Jim.
Sure. Thank you, Will. Appreciate that gracious introduction, and appreciate the opportunity to be with you all this morning through the gracious invitation of President Jeff, who is certainly great to work with as we began to recruit high schools to participate. So thank you, Jeff. A couple of brief words generally about the program before we start talking about raising money for what I characterize as scholarships for these students. Will mentioned that one of the areas of focus of Rotary is peace and conflict resolution, which essentially codifies that as in our Rotary DNA. And one of the ways that we manifest that area of focus is to have give scholarships to generate Rotary Peace Fellows, which are people who participate in graduate level programs around the world. And we'll mention that the group who is going to be organizing the Youth Peace Building Program is a company out of Charlotte, North Carolina, New Gen Peacebuilders. Well, the executive director of New Gen is a Rotary Peace Fellow. Patricia Schaefer has all kinds of peace and conflict resolution credentials and is steeped in the Rotary experience. In this past issue of the Rotarian magazine, in fact, the September issue, I think the October issue is already dropped, but in the September issue, there's an interview with Patricia. And one of the things she talks about is the distinction between peacekeeping, which is a word that we're so familiar with today, and peace building. And she highlights how peacekeeping is really about trying to keep the bullets down, trying to really put the brakes on violence. And peace building is more about a longer term approach in education. And with New Gen, what they've done is taking the really graduate level concepts of peace building and conflict resolution and how to use these concepts and analyze your local data to try to come up with solutions. So it is not a proscriptive process. New Gen will not come into our schools and dictate to us how peace ought to look and what you have to do. It is process oriented, which to me I think is very important. The students are given the tools and they are empowered to figure things out and look for solutions. So that gives me great confidence and hope. In our Rotary world, many of our clubs are active in raising money and generating scholarships for students, whether usually it's associated with people going off to college. Our Rotary Club does this, and we've spoken to other Rotary clubs, a Trustful Sunrise. I don't know about your club if you're involved in scholarships, but we are viewing the fundraising for the Peace Building Initiative as funding scholarships for these high school students to participate in the Peace Building program. Our overall budget is around $45,000 to $50,000, and that includes the scholarship money, plus a little overhead, plus a little seed money for the next program. We've engaged a group out of Atlanta called Affinity Travel Benefits, which has worked with not only Rotary clubs on various fundraising projects, but other schools and similar organizations to conduct fundraisers that is primarily digitally oriented. So Affinity will be creating a homepage for the program, and in the coming weeks and months, we'll be generating emails to the Rotarians in District 6860, really targeted to the 12 clubs in the greater Birmingham area, which is where the students are coming from. You will be hearing and receiving information. So please keep your eyes out for that. In addition, to kind of supplement and hopefully give more of a face and an identity to that initiative, Will and I are doing things like making talks at Rotary clubs. We will be communicating very frequently with the Rotary presidents and making sure that you hear from Jeff on a fairly frequent basis about updates on how things are coming along. So it'll be a multifaceted fundraising program, the heart of which will be digital and opportunities to give, but it will be supplemented by person-to-person communications. So this is the first time we've done this, and we're very excited. Some funds have been raised, but we have a long way to go, and we're just getting started. So we're hopeful the program sounds attractive to you all, and that is something, scholarships for high schoolers to participate in the peace building program sounds like something that Vestavia Sunrise Rotarians would like to support. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Will. We appreciate your time this morning. What I will do, just for the sake of our room, if we have any questions, I'll repeat the question rather than chasing people down with a microphone. Does anybody have any questions or comments this morning? Okay. So we don't have questions, which means you've done a great job. And I would like to reiterate what both of you said. The Vestavia Hills school system, the city schools from the top down, Dr. Freeman, Dr. Cooper, the principal at Vestavia Hills High School, counselors have reviewed the program and are supportive and intend through an email response that they are going to move forward in the next school year. I know recently there was an announcement of the schools that are ready to jump in this year, and that's very encouraging. And as you put your communications together, Will and Jim, it'll be, I'm sure, well received by our club, and we'll assist any way we possibly can. So, gentlemen,
Jeff,
thank you.
Jeff, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to circle back around and tell people that whenever we have talked with folks about having an international peace conference in Birmingham, whether we've been talking to people at Rotary International or Rotarians from other parts of the world, Birmingham, as many of you are aware, is well known around the world for the civil rights events that took place in Birmingham in 1963. And there are so many people who think of Birmingham as a place that has already shaped world history because of the impact of the events that took place here. And they are so excited about seeing Birmingham as a center of peace building, not only for Birmingham and the Southeast, but as an example for how reconciliation and peace building can take place for the rest of the world. And so while the youth program is going to get us started. What I'm really excited about is how we expect this youth program to grow and then lead into this 2023 International Peace Conference, which we do believe will be truly international and bringing people here. The reason we put it off a full 2 years was in hopes that international travel would have recovered from the pandemic. So in any event, I want to thank Jeff again for his support in the early stages here, and thank Jim and thank all of you for having us come and speak this morning.
Thank you, gentlemen. We really appreciate it. So, all right, guys, it's 10 till 8. So we will, Uman, if you'll just shrink the screen and move it to the side, and we will end with the 4-way test. But before we do so, one last comment. I want to thank Alan Stevens, who put together a refreshed brochure for the Vestavia Sunrise Rotary Club. If you would like to grab some for prospects or use it in any form or fashion in prospecting for new members, please come ask for it. We'll keep it in file here. So if you ever need it, please understand we have it. Thank you, Alan, for your efforts. So let's, Greg, if you'll kick us off as we stand and recite the 4-way test. The things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You have to exit the screen.
Well, hold on. Let's kill the record.